last two results, just a sort of heartbreaking way they finished. He says there's been no real hangover from. Is that the way you see it?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think when you look back, obviously, in the past two games, obviously the Celtic with the last minute penalty, then obviously penalties again last week. It's tough. It's tough to take, but that's part of football. And there'll be games this season where we're on the right end of that. We know that, and of course, like after the St Mirren game, especially, it was a massive opportunity for the club, to get to a semi-final. Those opportunities don't come around often, so it did obviously hurt at the time, and we had the weekend to kind of get over that, and then as soon as we've been back in on Monday, it's been full focus to Dundee United on the weekend.
I suppose with the way the season started, you can't afford to let sort of any negativity face it. You need to get the season kick-started as quick as possible.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that's always the case in football. No matter what it is, whether it's the magnitude of the game, whatever it is, it's always about, and that's positive and negative of reactions to games. A game that you win, it's important to not be too caught up on that as well. And like I say, it's been unfortunate. I think we've had a couple of good performances the last couple of weeks, and we put so much into the game against St Mirren last week, and but that's done now. So that, like I say, the full focus this week has been on Dundee United, and it's an opportunity for us. It's going to be a really tough game. They obviously got a good result the other night, but it's an opportunity for us to go out and show what we can do and hopefully pick up the 3 points.
It's a big period for the club. I suppose it could be a big period for you as well. Internationally, I'm just thinking there's also a World Cup at the end of the year. New Zealand have qualified already. Have you had any discussions about that? Had any suggestions whether or not you could be in with a shout at making the squad for that?
I've spoke to the manager since I signed with Kelly. He's kept in touch, and listen, it's obviously something that would be massive for me and for my family. It'd be a huge honour. But the main thing with that is the only way I can get involved with that is by doing well for Kilmarnock, and that's 100% my focus at the moment. I'm not thinking about the World Cup. I'm not thinking about New Zealand as much as it's a big goal of mine. I'm fully focused on the weekend, and like I say, the only way I can get myself involved is by doing well, here. So that is the main goal essentially.
It's been an incredible journey though, going for lower leagues football a couple of years ago to biggest stage on earth.
Yeah, it would also be an amazing thing. I think every boy kind of growing up, and we're watching all the World Cups growing up, and to be a part of that would obviously be something special. But like I say, and the fact that is my goal means that I need to focus even more so on the now, and that's essentially the only way I'm going to have a chance of getting involved with New Zealand again, and be a part of the World Cup squad is by doing well for my club. So that's the main goal.
Were the discussions with the manager quite positive then, the New Zealand manager, and the fact that you're playing the top flight in Scotland? Then?
Yeah, I think obviously it's that makes a difference. I've stepped up in level that I'm playing at. So to be able to kind of obviously show what I can do at this level, obviously will bring me closer to the picture. But listen, I've worked with him before, kind of age group stuff, when he was the assistant. So I know he's a great guy, and he kept in touch with me, over the years and stuff, and obviously more so probably now, So it's been good to be able to kind of just speak to him and catch up, and to realise that he is watching. I know I'm definitely not the only player. I think for every squad that gets picked, it'll only be maybe 23 bodies, but I know he'll be watching 50 to 100 players every week. So it's just nice to know that that's what's happening, and then again that relates back to it's then up to me, because if I perform well for Kilmarnock on a Saturday, then he's going to see that, and that's going to maybe take me that little bit closer.
What is your first World Cup memory? You were talking about there. What was the first one you can remember?
So I remember, I was born in 2000, so 2006 I remember bits of, but I think 2010 was the one where I properly remember watching so many games and feeling that real kind of that buzz of it. I thought the South Africa one was a class World Cup too. I was probably maybe that or the Brazil one 2014 as well. I love that as well. They're probably my two favourites so far.
New Zealand have been in a few World Cups recently, haven't they?
So they're in that 2010 one, yeah. So. it's obviously with adding extra teams, it's allowed more teams to obviously to qualify. So that's obviously a big bonus for New Zealand football. And I think even from when I've been involved, that football's grown massively over there. It's obviously predominantly a rugby country, but it really is growing. And I think things like this is only positive for New Zealand. For young kids, to be able to see their country at a World Cup is massive for the country's football.
How do you feel like you're getting on here so far? Obviously you're saying like you need to do well here to obviously harbour those ambitions, but how do you feel like it's gone so far?
Yeah, no, I think it's been good. I think there's definitely been games, I feel I've done well. There's been games I feel, there's things I definitely could have done better today. That's just the case with football kind of all the time. Do you know what I mean? No matter if you're new at a club or you've been here for 10 years, that's always going to be the case. So I think what I do know is that the manager's been brilliant with me, and he wants to help me and improve and help everyone improve. It's not just about me. That's obviously a big part of who he is and how he wants to be a manager of a football club. So I think that's obviously the big bonus, and even the little things like that, the kind of meetings and stuff. He'll speak to you kind of one-on-one. Him and Stevie, they'll go through some clips with you that's to help us get better, which obviously helps the team as well, of course. But I think it's been good. It's obviously it's definitely a step up. I think as a defender, especially, you're playing against like really good players who've got a lot of experience and played at really high levels. So I think it's always what you want. You want to kind of test yourself. You might be on the bad end of one for one game, but you learn from that. So I think it's been a positive start.
You've kind of played a mixture of being the kind of middle centre half and the right side as well, kind of swapping with those points. Have you got a preference, or are you happy just to be playing?
Not really, to be fair. I think I played more on the right out of the two. In the back three, I've played a lot more on the right throughout my career, so it's probably a little bit more comfortable, but I enjoy being in the middle as well. I feel like you then, obviously as a centre half, you always need to talk and organise and stuff like that, but I think the middle one even more so. So no, I enjoy both. Wherever I'm asked to play, I'm happy to do that. I think there is slight obviously differences between the two, but a lot of the fundamentals are the same. So
just on the last two games, they kind of quite a disappointment with the way they've ended. What does it take to get over that, both individually and collectively? Is it all just about kind of mental strength, or do you kind of need to take yourself away from football for a couple of days and just forget about it?
I think everyone's different, to be fair. I think for myself, having the weekend off was nice, and I think you just when you've been in football for a while, you just get used to that. That is just what it is. I think when you're younger, it's maybe can be a little bit harder because you've not experienced that as much. But you just realise, when you've been playing football for so long, that it's like that is just the way it is. You get the highs, you get the lows, and it's important to try and not get too high with the highs and too low with the lows. So I think everyone felt like everyone was in a decent place on Monday. There's obviously still that disappointment that's not going to leave, but it's about shifting the focus to, obviously, let's say we get the weekend, and everyone deals with it differently. Some people might want to just not think about it, some people might want to analyse it. Like, everyone is kind of different in that sense. But I think the one thing I can tell you is that everyone in that changing room was, when we came in on Monday, was focused for the next game, and I think you can almost use that disappointment as a bit of motivation as well. So
looked as if you were running on empty at the end. Is it just fatigue?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, fatigue, and I cramped up a bit, and kind of was hoping for the ball to go out of play, and then had to kind of get up and defend almost a 1v1 from the halfway line. So that was tough, and I was just thinking about just stay on your feet, don't collapse here. So yeah, I think that's everyone puts so much into the game. I think that's always going to happen in extra time, and I think when you think about it as well, we played Celtic on the Sunday, put a lot into the game, and then the next game's a Friday. So in terms of the training week, it changes a lot because you need to take care of the body from the game on Sunday. So, and it is quite a quick turnaround. So I think a lot of boys were kind of maybe feeling a wee bit on empty, but the good thing is we got the kind of weekend off because we played the Friday night. So we were in kind of fairly fresh on Monday, and could do a bit more than you normally can on a Monday as well, which is good in the build up to the game on Saturday.
Yeah, but you really have double check and the way he's started the season for United?
No, Dundee United they've had a good start to the season. I think in Europe as well. They I feel anyway that they had some really strong performances and some great results, and that's brilliant for Scottish football. And like I say, they've obviously had a really good result the other night as well. So they'll be full of confidence, and they'll probably got a good result against them in the League Cup here. So there's obviously, we've played each other before, but so we have a bit of an understanding of what they're about, and obviously them the same for us. But we do know it's going to be a really tough game up there, and I think we of course you have an idea of them and their strengths and stuff, but we like to focus on ourselves as well and what we can do to impact the game.